In recent times, the spate of crimes in the Federal Capital Territory and in most states of Nigeria has reached an all-time high. National security being the first duty of government led to President Bola Tinubu's meeting with security chiefs to address the problem headlong, as insecurity is robbing the nation of progress and citizens of sleep. On this episode of Frontiers, we shall turn attention to the very worrisome rise in crimes. I am Frama Panyi. We have on the program to analyze the security situation in the country vis-a-vis efforts of government to stem the tide of crimes. Retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Abila Joshak, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We will take a next step to drive today's discuss. The program continues shortly.
We are not sleeping. I'm very much aware of the security challenges in the territory. These were the words of the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike while briefing the media before the commencement of the emergency security meeting with heads of security agencies and area council chairmen held behind closed doors. The minister discloses that they owe it a duty to make the nation's capital safe and secured.
I'm aware that sometimes too the press overblow what is happening. But all of us are concerned as the Federal Capital Territory that houses virtually every Nigerian. We owe a duty to make sure that this place is safe. We'll do all we can, and we're sure Nigerians who reside here that there's no need for panic. It's just for you to know that we are not sleeping. Security agencies are also not sleeping. We'll provide every support that they require.
Nyesom Wike also made it known that he will not be happy to receive the news of area council chairmen shying away from their responsibilities, especially when there are security challenges in their various domains.
This time around, will not be happy, where area council chairmen will abdicate their responsibility and travel out. We have gotten reports that council chairmen travel anytime, and then if anything happens, of course, they will not call anybody's name. They will call the FCT minister.
The emergency security meeting is a sequel to the recent kidnappings and other security challenges in the FCT.
Once again, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Before your retirement from the police force, you rose to the top of your career. What is your take regarding the spate and pattern of crime now, and what it was when you were in service?
Yes, in comparing what is happening now in terms of security with the one we had while I was still in service, there are a lot of resemblance. And you also know that there's a lot of activities that are happening, and there are challenges, particularly regarding the citizen welfare and comfort. And so you could see that there has been change in governance, and there were a lot of activities that led to people trying to, of course, wanting to be where they are so that they can also be recognized. After this, you will agree with me that there are a lot of people that have not been able to make ends meet, either because the economy is being restructured, there are a lot of changes, there are a lot of laws and regulations that is trying to check individuals who have keyed out. The government want some of the things like, abuse of power and then not accounting for whatever that you have for the people. And so with that, a lot of people have had to struggle to survive. And so that leads to an upshooting in crime and criminality all over the country.
Now, concerned about the rising, case of insecurity in the country, the president held a meeting with security chiefs and the FCT minister did say. Now, how can rising insecurity be tackled?
Now, there are a lot of ways we can do, and there are several ways that this insecurity can be put to check. But when it has reared its head, you have to work very hard to be able to identify what the reasons are, and who are they, and what are the causes, and the causative factors might not fall within your ambit of activities and assignment, and therefore you have to get that from the authority that should be able to do it. So there are so many, and I would like to say that we have a lot of security agencies, some that have been trained very well, some that are retired are also very, very strong, and I think we need to look at it again, like what the Minister of FCT is doing. You need to ensure that security is properly funded and the right people are placed at the right places, because when you put in money or resources in security, you are not likely to touch any benefits, any result that has to do with tangible result, because you save lives, and so there's a lot of resources that is required, and unless people have the heart, you can't take all that money and put in. It requires a lot of money, and the minister for the FCT, we've worked, and I've also worked when he was in Rivers, and he funded us very well, and that was why we were able to hold on to the security challenges there. And since he's here, he's going to do much, but he can't do that alone. The other service chiefs also should have to sit up to also tackle this from the root. That can be done, because there are a lot of citizens who have been able to have opportunity to know what security are and how to go about it. But in doing that, there must be resources. If there are resources, I can assure you that they can police this country to reduce crime to its maximum tolerance, but not to completely wipe that out. And so there's a lot of issues with security in this country.
Okay. Now talking about the FCT, the capital of the nation.
Yes.
The rise in crime has been linked to, the clampdown on slums and the destruction of some makeshift shops and houses of low-income earners. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think the government want to clean up the country, the state, the FCT,
okay, and
to make it look FCT one of the city in the world. But that is also going to clamp on citizens who have reside in the place, and that's the only place they have. They now find themselves not really the owners, and they are either thrown out and sent to where they belong to, and so there are issues. But like I said, of course, the government will not stop cleaning up the city to be a city of one kind in the world. But at the same time, they must be able to listen to these people to sort them out so that they can find an alternative. If they can't find an alternative, they're going to roam the street, and they're going to be nuisance, and they're going to contribute to the insecurity of the FCT. Yes.
Mr. Joshak, we'll take a short break. We will return in a moment.
Thank you.
This is Frontiers. We will take a break now. Please stay tuned. Glad to know you're still there. we pick up our conversation with Mr. Joshak. Now, as a proactive measure to curb rising insecurity, the FCT minister says commercial taxis and buses must be painted. What do you make of this?
I think that should have been done long time. He has seen that fault, and he's right to have said so.
Okay.
Because commuters hang around, and you could see people who they push themselves, they run after all means of transportation to be able to have a place to be able to get home. And sometimes some of criminals also want to cash on that and exploit that opportunity, and then put in vehicles as if it's a commercial vehicle that wants to take people out, but it is owners and the people, the occupant, are criminals. So it is very, very right, and it is very, very apt that all vehicles to be used for commercial purposes must be properly identified and registered, and must have an opportunity. People must have opportunity to take up from there to try to trace who the vehicle is. Otherwise, we'll go back to zero point.
Okay, still talking about this commercial drivers. To check, the issue of one chance, the FCT administration is also enforcing the profiling and certification of commercial drivers. Tell us your position on this.
Well, those are steps that can definitely bring differences, improve on this issue of insecurity. Of course, no one needs to be told that if you need to use your vehicle for commercial purposes, you should be able to listen to government. Those changes, those improvement on ensuring that vehicles that are meant as commuters to convey people must put their identity so clearly. I think that's the end thing, and I think that also will help a lot.
That again, one crime that has assumed a very worrisome dimension, with high ransom and killing of victims, is kidnapping. It's everywhere.
Yes.
How can this be tackled?
This also requires the attention, requires the assistance, and the role of citizen as a whole. Not security alone. It's not for the security alone. It's for everyone. Because if you see something, you must say something. It is not possible for one to be picked in an environment and to say no one sees him, except it's an isolated place. And so the citizens of this country, particularly in the FCT, have the responsibility to see something and say something. And without the communities involved, you cannot have the security agencies everywhere. And of course, those who are responsible for some of this crime also watch very well before they strike. And therefore, we need the communities to be their brothers' keepers, and to also to watch out very well for this kind of people, because if you are able to describe who the people are who actually took one person, the security agencies will have a window to look out for such person. But if there's no trace, the security agencies are not around the area where this thing is happening. And so the community have a major role in ensuring that any incident that is funny and that is around you, you must look at those people very well and report. So say something when you see something.
Okay, now we've had this issue of community policing, talking about the security in the communities. What is your take on this community policing?
Community policing is just not a very new thing. When you talk about community policing, you are talking about getting people within the localities and train them, and sometimes send them back to that community. They will be able to know who are the boys that are the criminals that stay around them. If you are from that community and you've been trained as a police officer, you are likely to have a good idea of who are those that are criminals and what kind of criminal do they involve in. And that is why we're saying when we talk about community policing, we're talking about, getting people within that community, train them, and send them to walk around there. They are likely to have a lot of input in who are those that are responsible for kidnapping, stealing, killing, and what have you.
Okay.
But if you're from nowhere, far off, and you come, you are likely to continue to try as much as possible to study the criminals within the society and why are they doing that and who are they.
Okay.
And so community policing will help.
Okay.
When people who are very familiar with an environment are posted to certain environment. When they get there, they are likely to know who are the people that constitute criminals or those who commit crime all the time.
You had earlier mentioned that we need more of the security agencies in our community. That is one of the challenges. What would you suggest, or what would you think, being that you have been in the system, would address this challenge?
There are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of young people out there that are ready to work. Some of them are not even after the money. They want to be relevant and they want to be seen to be doing something. And so the number of security agencies, to my knowledge, is inadequate. The training, of course, is also not bad because we have a lot of trainers. So a lot of people have gone. We've gone all around, trained in Israel, trained in Belarus and other places. We have the capacity. But again, the government should be able to, in most of the rural area, from where we also come from, you take 50, 60 kilometers, you only find a small police station with very few police officers and what have you. Whether it is a civil defense is the same. And so there's a need for us to really look at what population, the vastness of the area, and to get more people into this service so that we will have sufficient people to respond to distress call in the event of a situation. This is missing, particularly the logistics. The logistics are nothing to write home about. Of course, I headed the Nigerian police operation here, and we saw all what it is. And I know that there are some improvement, but we need to do more. Yes.
Now, these criminals, bandits, or whatever it is we decide to call them, terrorists, have so much access to, firearms. What can be done? Talking about proliferation of firearms. What do you think can be done to check that issue?
The proliferation of firearms is something that gradually we need to check our borders. Yeah, because when you ask anybody from the north, particularly from Benue, from Plateau, from Niger, and then Nasarawa, they will tell you that if you want to trace that, you have to go through Taraba. And when you get to Taraba, some of the borders, they are very porous. And then the Cameroonians who want their country in Cameroon, are very close there. And there's a lot of linkages. And so unless we're able to make sure that our borders are protected or are well policed, if we police our borders very well, then we will be dealing with how can we now checkmate the arms and ammunition that is within the country. But I can tell you that our borders are very porous. And anybody who is telling you that there is a control, there isn't control, because the borders are very, very porous. And until we do something about a lot of the borders that are porous, and also, build facilities for the border communities. The border communities do not see themselves as Nigerians because they do not have some social amenities that is there. And so, once they're there, they encourage bringing in banned goods that are not allowed, because that's all they don't have. They don't feel the presence of government. on most of the borders. Yes.
Now, we have laws checking, is people carrying illegal firearms unregistered, who are not licensed to carry firearms. There's terrorists, bandits, and all that. These laws, are they being, executed? What are these laws? When a criminal is found or when someone is caught with firearms, are we really taking out this, executing these laws? What are some of the laws, if we should know them?
Yeah, the laws are being executed, but the truth about it is that, once as a police officer or whatever it is, anybody arrested must be brought before the court of jurisdiction, and such people are, the judges are expected to look at it very well and then pass their judgment. But sometimes it lingers, and in most cases, they will need one to have the witnesses that arrested them. Some have retired, some have been posted quite far. So it becomes very difficult even when the judges want to ensure that they accelerate trial. And so there are a lot of, it's very cumbersome, and sometimes it takes a long time. And, soldier come, soldier go. Some of the judges where they are, and the case they were handling, they're posted far off, another mustn't come nearly and start from the scratch, and it gives a lot of problem. And so if there could be a specific place where these people that are found armed and cannot account for them, and they are not expected to do that, then the law also should be looked at so that there can be consequences that is very, very severe. That will also discourage them. Otherwise, it's a thing done on a daily basis.
Finally, before I let you go, going by the number of crimes in the country, yes, what is your advice to Nigerians generally?
Well, this crime can be reduced, not necessarily by all the security agencies. Everybody must be aware and must take into cognizance that he is responsible for the safety of himself, his family, and the surrounding communities. In other words, we should create an eagle eye, every citizen, like what is happening here in Abuja. I know that it is possible to prevent it. It is possible to check it and reduce it to barest minimum. And in doing that, because you cannot commit a crime in Abuja and fly off, whether you vehicle, without being caught. And so it is the deployment and the proper positioning of the men and the availability of logistics. In those days, we have police officers who sell groundnut, police officers and other security agencies with the SSS and what have you, who also, sell kola nut and do all kind of menial jobs just to get intelligence. But that is gone. If we have such people, I'm telling you, most of the crime will be identified. But like I said, we have a very good time with the FCT minister is going to do something, because I know he does a lot of things. Whatever that is required, he gives. For where we've worked for quite several years when he was in government, not as a governor, but working with someone else, and it was fine. And I think he's trying to get this right. If the security agencies and the chiefs of the security cooperate, I'm sure here it will be reduced to its nearest minimum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Habila Joshak, for enlightening us and coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right. We have been taking a look to the rising crimes in Nigeria and efforts at tackling it, and our guest was a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Habila Joshak. I am Frama